Hello. Hello. I am Alisha Richard, and I would like to say thank you all so much for joining me today. I know of all the things that you could be doing in your busy schedule, for you to pause and listen to me. Thank you so much. Today, I will be talking about the top podcast that you all should be listening to in 2020. Now, I know that I have been listening to podcasts for years, and not only do I have my own podcast, but I totally like to binge on other people's podcasts, either when I am driving in my car, when I am washing my dishes, when I am doing my chores. There is like so many times that I can just find myself listening and just like really indulging into a great podcast. Now, sometimes, and the majority of the times that I listen to a podcast, I actually listen to a lot of business related podcasts, but sometimes I need just a little inspiration and motivation to help me get throughout my day. So I will be talking about the 7 podcasts that you should be listening to in 2020. The first one that you should be listening to is Blessed and Bossed Up. OMG, do I love Tatum. I have been listening to her for some years now, and I like how she incorporates the importance of having God and faith inside of your business, and how in order for you to grow your business, you need both. And I love how she incorporates that in each and every podcast, talking about not just a faith-filled podcast, but it's actually a show where you can get the business sides of it and the spiritual sides of it. And when you merge it all together, how you can build a business of your dreams. The next one that I totally love to listen to, and I have been listening to this for some time now, is the Side Hustle Pro with Michaela. And she talks about, girl, let me tell you, how you can turn your side hustle into like a very lucrative business. And in that podcast, she talks to a lot of creative entrepreneurs from so many different backgrounds about how you could literally quit your 9-to-5 job and actually become an entrepreneur or use it as a side hustle. So a lot of her topics and a lot of the podcasts are interviews where she talked to, other successful women. And a lot of them are actually like 6-figure and multi-6-figure women that actually come and share their story about how they created a business that they loved. So I totally love that one. The third one that I do like a lot is the Courtney L Sanders podcast. And in her podcast, she talks about the importance of building a business. She talks about lifestyle. She talks about not just business and lifestyle, but legacy. She also talks about like the personal development and in the growth field. So Courtney really does incorporate a lot of the different aspects as far when it comes to being the total woman in the total package. Another thing I do like about Courtney as well, that Courtney is a wife and a mom, and that's something that I could totally relate to as an entrepreneur myself. So as she is delivering content, not only is she good into the personal development and business field, if that's something that you are interested in, but she could also tell you a little bit about life. The next one, and these podcasts are literally in no particular order, but I just want you to know the top podcast that you should be listening to in 2020. The other one that I totally love is Joyce Meyer. I listen to Joyce Meyer all of the time. And what I do like about Joyce Meyer is that she also incorporates like the faith part. Because, I would say that I am a very spiritual or religious or whatever you want to call it person. And I love how she talks about like just having faith and how to go beyond fear. And she uses it like in a practical way so that you can understand. So it's very inspirational. I love listening to Joyce Meyer, and I have been listening to Joyce Meyer even before she had a podcast. Like she was a minister that has been preaching and teaching the word of God for like years. So I mean, she's almost like in a field with TD Jakes, like someone you kind of just grew up with and you know about. The next one that I totally love to listen to is the Brown Ambition podcast, and I actually love Mandy and Tiffany, and they talk about loans, they talk about debt, they talk about your financial situations and how you could actually navigate and actually build wealth. I see Brown Girl Ambition like all of the time on so many different platforms talking about how to budget your money and how to manage your money and how to save your money. So if that is something that you feel like, OMG, I totally want to get my life together financially, then that is definitely a podcast episode that you need to be listening to, that podcast. Last but never least, wait, I got two more. The next one I actually love Sarah Jakes Roberts, and I love her because hers is a little bit like the personal growth and development, but it also is like the faith part of it. I love her personality. I loved what she presents, and I love the presentation of it. Sarah Jakes Roberts is actually T.D. Jakes' daughter, and she is just so profound. Not only can you just, know what she is saying, but you can actually feel it in your heart and know that she is truly genuine about helping people change their lives. And that I totally love about her. Last but not least is A Rich Life. I actually have a podcast of my own. So the A Rich Life podcast is where we enrich, encourage, and inspire creatives to live a life of their dreams by setting practical goals. Now, in my podcast called The A Rich Life, I actually talk about goal setting a lot. I actually talk about how to build your confidence as a multifaceted creative individual. I talk about moving past fear, and I also interview a lot of creatives that have really have been able to quit their 9-to-5 job and actually live a life through their dreams. But the only way that they could have gotten there is by actually setting practical goals and actually following through with each step that they took. So with A Rich Life, we talk about how important it is to be rich in your mind, in your body, in your soul, and in your business. And we talk about the total woman. So if you liked any of the episodes, please make sure that you go to www.arichlife.co. Then that way you can learn how you can live a rich life yourself. So just a quick recap. It is the Blessed and Bossed Up, the Side Hustle Pro, Courtney L Sanders, Joyce Meyer, Brown Ambition, Women Evolve, and A Rich Life with Alisha Richard. I will leave all of those links below. That way you can find some of the podcasts that I am literally binging on like all of the time. I actually love long drives because when I am driving, I can listen to a podcast and be filled with so much knowledge. And each of the podcasts is filled with so much knowledge that you could really just grow while you are on the road, washing your dishes, or just at home. Let me tell you something that I've actually done, y'all. I replaced listening and watching TV with listening to podcasts. That is how much I love podcasting, listening to podcasts, and actually hosting a podcast. So thank you so much for viewing this video. If you like anything that I've said, please leave in the comments below either your podcast or a podcast that you have been listening to that you like, that you would like to share, and I will try them out. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast. Then that way, every time that we upload new content on a weekly basis, you will first be notified. So thank you so much for viewing this video. I cannot wait for you to tell me the podcast that you are listening to in 2020 and beyond. So thank you so much for viewing this video, and I will talk to you all soon. I want you all to live a rich life, not just in your finances, but in your mind, your body, your soul, and your business. Thank you so much for listening, and you all have a fantastic day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.